My name is Elon Musk.
Uh-oh.
I like cars.
Who doesn't like cars? I like cars too.
Pass the weed, Joe.
Shabadoo, 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 shabadoo.
Whip it a boo.
Skilly womp
Yeah.
womp beep bop bop doo. Okay.
Hello and welcome to another incredible episode of Nobody Asked with Maria
Hello.
and me. I'm her son. Today, today we'll be talking about Elon Musk. You know, who is he? Where is he from? What 20 different controversies has he been embroiled in the last 15 minutes? You know, what's up with this guy? Why do people feel so many different things about him? Why is this guy whose main company is all about, green energy cars hated by leftists? Why is this guy who smokes weed and who is, and also owns a green energy company embraced by Republicans lately and only lately? Anyway, that's what we'll be talking about in today's episode. And Colin, will you take it away? Oh, well, yes, Colin, I'd love to talk about it, but I'm just kidding. Today's episode is sponsored by
Oh.
Class War.
Oh.
Hey, whoa, hey, hey, class, okay, I don't know. I really think the main issue is race. I think you should talk about that more. Let's keep talking about
Should we?
that.
You know
Class
how I feel.
war. No, it was just a message from Class War, and from the upper
The
class
real
and whatnot.
problem. Class war.
Just keep talking about race. Anyway, so
Just keep talking
Elon
about
Musk. He's an interesting cat. This guy, who, where did he come from? He's the richest man in the world, depending on where the stock market is in the last few seconds. His value, the value of Elon Musk goes up or down by 10 billion daily. So, billion,
That's a lot. That's a lot of chabo.
Like 100 times what you could reasonably be expected to make in a lifetime. That's how much he changes in a day. He loses 100 lifetimes of capital, and then he tweets a meme about Bill Gates being pregnant. That's Elon Musk's life. Yeah, he's an interesting cat. Elon Musk comes from South Africa. At this point, he actually has 3 citizenships, but he grew up the son in a family with 3 children, the son of a very wealthy emerald miner in South Africa.
How relatable.
Yeah, he's just like you or me. He's the son of an emerald miner. Yes, Elon Musk's dad, whose name also ends in Musk, and I don't know the first name, owned half of this emerald mine. And Elon Musk himself would tell you that he was very, very wealthy. In fact, he told a story about, according to Johnny Depp today, Elon is a crooked dick haver. That was also, I was going to bring that up.
He did say that. He also said he was going to slice it off. It was some aggressive language from Johnny Depp today.
I know nothing of this. And weirdly enough, we're barely going to talk about the Johnny Depp trial. But it's funny, Elon Musk's grubby little fingers are in everything, all things that are happening in media right now, that little guy. But the son of an emerald miner, and he told a story from when he was younger about how much money they had, that they needed to do this thing, like, when there's too much stuff in your fridge, and that you're kind of just like, you're trying to close the fridge so that the door of the fridge can hold the stuff on your shelf. Well,
Sure.
He told basically that story about his family's safe.
Oh.
Which is like interesting. But I mean, one thing that I like about Elon Musk is he's never shied away from the fact that he had a wealthy upbringing. There were some serious downsides to his upbringing. His father was very physically abusive. He also acted like Elon Musk the whole time. He was never not this weird guy. So he was bullied mercilessly in school. There was actually one instance in which he nearly died because of how badly he had been beaten in school. So that's a fun little story.
Is that fun?
Um, yeah, it's like a nice little sweet story about bullying. And that's what toughened him up so that he could survive in this winner take all economy. Um, but I mean, Elon Musk, he'll tell you himself, has Asperger's. The dude he has autism. And so a lot of the weirdness surrounding Elon Musk, I think, often feels strange because much of it can be explained by the fact that this dude is socially awkward because he has autism. And so there's always this grain
Right.
of salt where, like, people hate Elon Musk, and we're going to get into a bunch of reasons why people hate Elon Musk. But sometimes people will attack him for, like, his personality quirks. And it's like, well, that's the autism. So, everything with a grain of salt. But he
Okay.
ended up leaving South Africa. He went to Canada and studied, and then he came to America. He attained 3 citizenships. And
His mother was
to tell
Canadian.
him, his mother was Canadian. His mother also was an asshole. So, in case you were like, oh, well, maybe he left his dad to the respite of his mother, his mother now on interviews is an absolute dick about him. And it's like, yo, that's your son. Stop talking about your son like that, man. Especially not to his face, dude. Listen to some interviews by Elon Musk's mom and just recognize that this man was traumatized by having 2 awful parents, 2 awful piece of shit human being parents, some real life after lockup types. Anyway, the
Okay. But they
anyway,
were rich.
but rich. Hey, there's really annoying people everywhere. Um,
Indeed.
So he went and studied, and if you hear him tell it, he was incredibly poor when he started his first company. Now, this is not true. He was, despite all the shortcomings of his dad was helping him significantly. And when he formed his first company, which was Zip2, right, Mom?
Zip 2, yes.
Zip2. When he formed his first company, Zip2, uh, he would tell it like he couldn't afford to get an office or an apartment. He was working every day but had no money. But really, his parents paid off his student debt. His parents were paying for an apartment, and his dad was the first investment in Zip2 of $32,000. So that is pretty significant help. We're getting into Donald Trump's small loan of $1 million type territory. So that's kind of the first instance of Elon Musk editorializing his own past, was that he'll say that he was poor, but in fact, that he did have significant help in forming this first company. But
Which is okay. It's okay.
which is fine. Hey, look, man, try turning $32,000 into $400 million tomorrow, dude. It's not easy. Okay. He did something very cool. He was very forward thinking. He formed Zip2. He ended up selling it for $400 million. And this was his first foray into being ultra rich. He then formed another company called X.com, which was acquired by PayPal.
Mm-hmm.
And even though Elon Musk will tell you he's a co founder of PayPal, you'll notice in that story that he was acquired by PayPal, which is different. So, not a founder of PayPal. Guess who thought he was a founder of PayPal? Me, until I started researching this story. Um, but did become one of the seminal members of PayPal, and then ended up selling a significant amount of his stock in that and making a ton of money. Then he's gone on to other ventures over and over again.
Yep.
Tesla, he did not found Tesla. This
He did
is
not.
I'm going to sound wildly anti-Elon with the beginning of this because a lot of his own story is nonsense. But he saw Tesla and I think did see it for the opportunity that it was, and then, using ruthless business tactics, pushed the founders of Tesla out of Tesla after entering it, which is not the story that I think most people know with
Nope.
Tesla. Guess what he did found? SpaceX. So
That
he
one's
did
real.
he did do that. The weird thing is that he brags about things that are not true, but there are cool things that he did. There are also some things he shouldn't brag about, like dating Amber Heard. I wouldn't recommend that. But
I
in
mean,
general,
it was like a month. He dated her for like a month. I
he
mean, I
dated.
don't know.
Yeah. Well, he here's another piece of information that I don't know how to kind of weasel into this story, but does seem to be pretty widely held opinion. The dude seems to just throw dick around like you would not believe. He can't stop having kids. There's a
Wait,
man.
what? Whose
He's got
kids does
like
he have?
8 kids. He's got 8 kids with I think 6 different women.
I
This
did not know
man
that.
This man is sowing his seed. He's sowing his wild oats. This Elon Musk character, he can't stop having kids. It's unbelievable. And so,
I did not know that. That is
yep,
a mind blower for me.
there's just something. The man, more power to him. I'm not going to judge, but he does seem, he does seem to have quite a few.
Catching up with Nick Cannon, or
Yep.
is caught up. Maybe he's passed Nick Cannon right by.
Oh yeah. Well, this all led up the founding of SpaceX. He's formed a few different companies that I find very interesting. The Boring
Yes,
Company is one that we won't get into, but I actually think the Boring Company is very interesting,
it is
despite
interesting.
its failures.
They
He
make tunnels.
is They make tunnels. He is a very forward thinker. He does,
He is.
he's a person that favors radical solutions. Which, if you've heard my mayoral campaign promises, you might see how that appeals to me. Uh, hashtag arm all women and then steal guns from men. I should rethink the hashtag. That seems a little bit wordy, but you get my drift. He is definitely a forward thinker, and this, as the internet became what it is today, this was generally the overall thought around Elon Musk. And he would go on shows and he would use his brand as this guy that is a radical thinker, often to increase his business ends. But he was very successfully branded in the same way that like Jennifer Lawrence was branded as the every girl, your neighbor lady.
Mm-hmm.
Elon Musk did a very good job of figuring out who the internet thought he was and being that guy. Smoking weed on the Joe Rogan podcast was so in line with his brand because he was going to do what he thinks was right. And things like money and stocks and whatever, those aren't the things that guide his decision making, like they guide the decision making of many businessmen, right? He's not get just because it, you know, deteriorates the credibility of Tesla doesn't mean that he's not going to smoke some donk with good old Joe because
Well, and I think
smoking
that's
donk
why
is
you'll
fine.
find he likes to, there's a lot of, he likes to make his business private when he can. He wants to pull things off of the S&P and have them not be tradable because he wants to be able to do what he wants and not worry about the repercussions to the stock market and watch his value go up and down. He wants the freedom to make big decisions and to say big things and to
Totally.
keep making money. Which, I mean, I get it. I don't hate it.
Oh, I mean, the stock market, you hear all the time these companies making decisions that are no longer in the interest of customers or of, improving the lives of their customers, improving the lives of their employees. When you become a publicly traded company, even more so than a private equity company, you do become beholden to all stockholders and you have to report a lot more information. And it's kind of like the ultra rich guy business equivalent of signing a record label with RCA. It's like you're giving up your creative control over this product for
Mm-hmm.
that sweet, sweet money.
Chabo.
Right.
Yes.
Jabo. And you're going to have to show your product to RCA from then on. And
Yep.
you know what they do? They break up Brockhampton. Fuck you, RCA. So this is Elon Musk. This is the kind of guy that he is. And what's become apparent over the last 10 years is that he really does thrive off of this attention that he gets. And he loves the idea that he is this modern day Tony Stark. I think he's actually said it before, that that's what he seeks to be. But spoiler alert, you didn't go to MIT, nerd, so can't do it.
He went to Stanford, but only for like a hot minute.
Yeah, Stanford. Oh, community college. So, um, anyway, yeah, he does. He thrives off this image of being Tony Stark. He thrives off of being in the public eye, and for a while, I think he did a pretty good job. But there was one community that I've been a part of since 2014, I think, that I think was the predecessor to an overall idea that's occurred with Elon Musk. So the only thing I felt any excitement about in regards to Elon Musk was him sending Starlink to Ukraine. Yeah, I mean that was interesting. But that's such a classic Elon thing, right? Is to use his things to accomplish things that he believes need to happen. And it's often this is why he's buying Twitter, is that he truly believes that Twitter needs to be a free speech device, and so he doesn't believe that it being publicly traded does that, and so he's trying to buy Twitter. Starlink, same kind of idea. There's definitely a debate on how much power one person should really be able to wield, but hey, so far he's
I
not
think
killing very many people, so that's good.
exactly. I think he's wielding it in a very interesting way. I'm not mad about it. The more I look at it, the more I like it. I also I like how divisive he is. I like that it makes people watch him harder. I like
Yep.
that, right now Republicans like him, and I want them to like a guy that seems to care about the planet. I think it's
It
interesting.
is very interesting. It's super interesting. He's very scientifically minded. He what what always feels weird to me about the complaints that some people have about him is that he is like that. There's two versions of who would I be if I was rich, right? And one version is this Donald Trump version, which I think John Mulaney explained best, which is like what a crazy homeless man says they would do if they got rich. Like, I'm going to build a golden building and put my name up right at the top of it, right? And I'm going to have nice, pretty hotels where all the naked women come by, right? That's Donald Trump rich. And I think one reason that Donald Trump appeals to people is that he's the kind of rich where it's like, if I was rich, I would act like this. Do you know what the worst kind of rich to be is? Warren Buffett rich. Oh, you eat McDonald's every day? Fuck you, Warren Buffett. Act rich. Or start doing stuff with your money. Stop accruing money like it's points and then waving it above the poor people and being like, I still live like you to save more money. Fuck you, you Scrooge McDuck bitch. Okay? Warren Buffett's the worst kind of rich. Donald Trump appeals to people because he acts like who a lot of people think they would be if they were rich, and they go, "Fuck yeah, don't tell me anything." And pretty women. Anyway, Elon Musk is the other one, right?
He's the
Elon
other
Musk
one.
is, if I had all this money, there would be these problems, and I would just throw my money at them. I want to go to space. I want to go to Mars, right? I want to create these crazy technologies. I want to create, dude, you know what Elon Musk is invested in that I'm invested in? Really effective public transportation, which is what the Boring Company is about, is decreasing the cost of creating public transportation, right? So he does act this way. That SpaceX is about, there's long this dream of expanding beyond Earth, of the final frontier. The dream was lost. It was lost in politics. Rich man pour money on it. That's what a lot of us said we would do if we got rich. Dude, the war in Ukraine, that clearly the Ukrainians are right. Give them all internet with your
Yeah,
satellite that you built because you're a fucking demagogue of the internet. Of course,
absolutely.
dude, he's
Absolutely.
he's 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 effectively Zeus at this point in terms of the internet. So, you know, it definitely could go wrong very fast. This is the problem with granting anyone godlike powers. But on the spectrum of rich people, I mean, he's doing what we said we would do. So a lot
Yeah.
of people that complain about him, I'm like,
Yeah.
what?
Even when he's a dick. Even when he's a dick, you're like,
he's a dick the whole time.
It's like the kind of dick that he is like, I'm okay with you being the kind of person that has an interaction with the head of Twitter that doesn't go the way that you want, and then you just send him a poop emoji. Yes, that's very immature, but it doesn't hurt anybody.
Dude, or when another billionaire starts like funding defamation campaigns against you, and you find an unflattering picture of that billionaire who used to be the richest person on earth, by the way, and you compare it to the pregnant man apple emoji, right? Dude, this guy is your uncle.
Yeah.
He's your uncle that has undiagnosed autism. I'm telling you. And in a weird way, fuck yeah. Dude, there are so many incredibly rich people that are so boring and that are doing all this insidious background stuff. Look, Elon Musk does some dumb, fucked up stuff, but complain about other rich people. Anyway, he is a narcissist. He does love the spotlight. He does love pissing people off. He does it very effectively. And one thing that you've seen, because he's been like this the whole time, it feels like he's been really at the forefront of all news for the last year since Tesla shot up in the way that it did. But he's been like this the whole time because Reddit is a community of people that are very technologically minded, are very radical solutions. There's a massive leftist wing of Reddit. There's a massive like tech interest segment of Reddit. And Elon Musk was the Reddit of billionaires. But every 6 months, it would go from Elon Musk is effectively Superman. He's Iron Man. He's so sick. Look at these crazy things he's doing. He's trying to fund a company, so he's selling flamethrowers. Fuck yeah, dude.
He sold
Punk
flamethrowers?
rock. Yes, he did. To fund the Boring Company. He sold flamethrowers. Bro, that's so cool, right? Fuck yeah, punk rock. And then
that's so weird.
6 months later, the public opinion on Reddit would change, and he's a big dork clown who, just like doesn't wield his power responsibly, and his ship is hitched to Joe Rogan, who also is very polarizing. Joe Rogan on Reddit simultaneously loved and hated. So this happened on Reddit. Well, now he's the billionaire that is constantly in the public eye. He cannot get out of the public eye. Just the last couple of weeks, right?
Okay.
I mean, one, he dated Amber Heard. This Johnny Depp trial, he's got his finger in that, right? And he was theoretically going to testify in it. I don't think he's going to testify at this point, but because his name was brought up, I think that there's concern that he might be able to be forced to be testified. Anyway, he probably won't.
The trial is probably over today, so they've run out of time.
Well, then he's not going to. Great. But he did date Amber Heard, of course, right? He's buying Twitter, and then his Tesla was removed from the ESG index, and there was an accusation of sexual harassment that came out with him about him in the news immediately after he said that he was going to switch from Democrat to Republican. Guess how long it took for all of these stories to come out? 2 weeks. News stories came out today, bro. That there's news about a new hydrogen car. The dude is beefing with Bill Gates, which is what I'm talking about with that pregnancy. But he's never not.
I don't know what we're talking about.
No. There was an article that came out from like a mildly suspect source that said that the Bill Gates Foundation funded a few projects that were attempting to what was it? They were attempting to block Elon Musk buying Twitter through certain sorts of like defamation and like discrediting Elon Musk's purchase attempt. And the Bill Gates Foundation funded these things. And so Elon Musk tweets out a picture of the pregnant man emoji with a picture of Bill Gates looking so much like that emoji. It's crazy, dude.
I need to see that emoji. I need to see it.
Let me bring it up.
Oh my gosh.
Bill Gates pregnant meme.
It's like researching Elon Musk again. It's like it's so difficult. There's so much he is so involved in so many things. I mean, how did I not come across this when I was researching today? Because maybe I
Oh
was
yeah.
asking too specific of questions. Because I was like, I don't know what ESG is. Let me find out about that. Let me find out about all this carbon stuff. Let me find out about
You got it.
Oh, look, he's even in a
Look at
blue
that.
shirt. Look at how pretty he
And
looks.
Elon Musk tweets, "In case you need to lose a boner fast."
Why did he have to make it go that way? Why did he have to make it about a boner?
Because he's just so horny. Elon Musk is so horny, it's crazy. Anyway,
Okay.
this is just how he's in the news. So we're going to talk briefly about this because obviously switching from Democrat to Republican, now all the Republicans that hated him are, well, the buying Twitter thing actually helps him a lot in the eyes of Republicans, because Republicans have been talking about how Twitter is just like a liberal, like, censorship thing ever since Trump got removed. So Musk saying he's going to bring Trump back and that he's going to make it a free
Maybe.
speech platform. Um, did he say maybe? I thought he said he definitely would.
That he would definitely bring back Donald Trump? That I don't know.
Yeah. No, I think he did.
Oh, okay. Well, we can talk about this Twitter deal if you want. Depending on how you calculate the math, we're talking about $44 billion-ish, which is a lot of money. That is the second largest buyout in history. Twitter wasn't for sale when he went to buy it. He got kind of called in, just to. I think he had maybe 10% shares or something. But the new director guy, I don't know if he's a CEO, whatever he is. He kind of called him in to kind of get his input, because Elon Musk is an innovator. He does think about things in different ways, and they thought he might have some interesting inputs. And so when he got called in, he was like, "Man, how if I just buy the whole thing?" And then he just starts like massively buying a bunch of stocks and, kind of forcing the matter. And so that's where we are now. He has not bought it yet, but the deal has been accepted. It's just they're still working out the logistics of it.
Yep.
And yes, he wants to privatize it so that it's no longer tradable. And what he said about it, which I like because it's got two dog whistles in it, depending on what side of the aisle you're on. But let's listen to see if you can hear them.
Okay.
Free speech is the bedrock of a functioning democracy. And Twitter is the digital town square where matters vital to the future of humanity are debated. Did you hear them both? Did you hear them?
I mean, no.
Just say no. Free speech. To me, whenever you hear free speech, I think Republicans' ears perk up, right? Because they just love to shout free speech constantly about everything. And then when you hear that the future of humanity, we're talking about humanity, right? Suddenly that's a dog whistle for the left. They're like, oh, humanity, let me listen. Humanity is important. To me, that's the way that I hear it, is that I just think he puts in this language that gets certain people's attention. He doesn't just say regular shit, right? He says
I think you're
things
being
like,
very generous with the word dog whistle.
I think it's a dog whistle. I mean, depends on what you think a dog whistle is. I think it's just certain people will hear it and it will get their attention, where other people might ignore that language and not pick up on what it means.
I mean, certainly, I don't think that we have different definitions for it. But
okay,
my thought is that it's got to be something that I don't think that free speech is a Republican dog whistle. I don't know. I think of a dog whistle as more insidious than that. Like things like America First are a little bit more dog whistly, because the people that know, or like there's certain numbers that not everyone knows are affiliated with Nazi tradition,
that's a
right?
specific type of dog whistle to a specific type of person. But I think regular people, that you don't have to be a racist to hear a dog whistle. I think free speech is one that gets shouted about regularly. And when you start talking about humanity and big picture items, the left likes that kind of stuff. If you start talking about the environment, humanity, taking care of each other, that's stuff that appeals to the left. So I just think it's interesting that he put both things in there so that you can appeal to a couple, more than one type of person when he said what he said. And he's not wrong. I mean, Twitter is sort of a town square. I mean, I'm not on Twitter. That's not my town square. But
Not either.
But I get how he would view it that way. And he doesn't think that Twitter is being utilized to its full potential. And I think he recognizes potential in every project he takes on. He sees things bigger and where they can go. And even when we're talking about Twitter, you know, he's making it clear the kinds of things that the problems he sees right off the bat. You know, he wants new products and features. He wants, I don't understand this one. Maybe you'll understand this one. Making the algorithms open source to increase trust. I don't know how that increases trust. Can you
Oh,
explain that?
I've got a great. So, I mean, the algorithms I think are the main complaint. This is the hidden gem. The main thing that people have talked about is the fact that he's going to let anyone be on it, and he's going to significantly decrease moderation on the platform, right?
Okay.
And it, whether you're right or left, the claim that moderation on Twitter has been an egregious nightmare is 100% true. The people that they do and do not let on, there's no consistency. There's no consistency, and there's no consistency on either side. What's hilarious is that the moderation is certainly anti-Republican. Now, a lot of the extremism that it was targeting was during the Trump election. And a lot of the extremism ended up coming from the right. That's neither here nor there. But the moderation was anti-Republican. The algorithm, weirdly, was pro-Republican. And so that doesn't get talked about a lot, is that Republican tweets had a significantly higher viewership among followers than Democratic tweets. Democratic tweets ended up getting deprioritized by the algorithm. But there's no question that the moderation was nuts bad. Hello, Ellie.
But how does
Ellie
making it
just got home.
open source correct the problem? That's what I don't
I
understand.
I don't think it. I don't know it immediately corrects the problem, but if more people are able to see the algorithm, they might be able to highlight where the inconsistencies are. There's an
Ah,
accusation that the algorithm, because people don't know that the algorithm is actually pro-Republican, there's an accusation that Twitter actually programs in an anti-Republican slant to the algorithm, right? So making it open source is going to increase trust that the algorithm is doing exactly what it's supposed to do. But also,
right.
if people find errors, I mean, all the computer scientists being able to see what Twitter's algorithm is, they might be able to highlight what the problems are. Now, another big thing that Elon Musk has talked about, and this is probably the number one, like, Elon Musk could almost do anything in my eyes. And if he accomplished this one thing, anything he could do as an individual person, it pales in comparison to the impact this would have, right? The algorithm has been made to prioritize engagement and keeping people on the site. And this is true for all the algorithms,
All
is that
algorithms.
they're publicly traded and their money comes from increasing engagement. And so all of these project managers, the metric that they judge the effectiveness of their platforms is engagement. But that is not a way to make a good product. It's a way of making a product that keeps people on, right? It's like the difference between making a drug that cures a problem versus a drug that keeps you using the drug, right? And you
Yes.
want companies to be making good drugs and not addictive drugs. But the incentives are wrong. And so one of the big things that Elon is saying is if I just own this company and I go, I don't even need this fucking money, right? I just want to make a product that's actually good. I'm going to deprioritize engagement and prioritize seeing content from the people that you want to see content from, like old social media was.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll lose money as a company, but this will be a more effective tool for the digital town square. This will actually be like more of a public good. That is a massive positive impact. Just that one
Yes.
idea, getting away from engagement metrics. It's
No, I love everything you're saying. Thank you for explaining that to me because I didn't know what that meant. And this is a thing that I find to be a big problem. I mean, this is a big problem in the United States completely right now. This is why we are so polarized because you might search for one thing, right? And the algorithm decides, well, people that like this also like this, right? And so it'll keep
mhm.
the ball rolling and keep the ball rolling on a specific trajectory that becomes less and less and less where you started from and less like the truth, right? We could both be
Yep.
looking for a news article about the same thing, and it's going to decide, well, you want to go this way and you want to go this way. We can just tell because of the other things you search for. And pretty soon, the truth looks completely different to both of you. And
Yep.
because of engagement. And I think that's how we all become radicalized. We definitely have a radical left. We have a radical right. There's a radical everything. And it's like, if you are in the middle, then you are almost worse than being radicalized sometimes. It's like, what are you doing? How do you not see all of these things as bad? All of these things. And, we lose sight that we're all on the same team. Whether you want to say we're all Americans or you want to go bigger and say we are all on planet Earth together, we lose sight of all of that stuff when we become radicalized because the algorithm has decided this is what will keep you looking at the screen longer.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And one of the things that we did is that we prioritized this one metric and didn't consider what the second and third steps for it. And one thing that we knew, I mean, that the company could have just asked a psychologist, like, what is going to maintain engagement? Rage maintains engagement, right?
Fear.
And rage, fear. There are these very strict emotions that maintain engagement, and truth is not on the list, right?
Nope.
But there's a reason they're not asking neuroscientists, is that having the knowledge ends up looking worse for your company. So they go, no, I don't want to hear it. And they just prioritize
Correct.
the thing that makes them money. So this is a huge win. And just to like, kind of dovetail off what you're saying here, what the algorithms ended up doing is finding, I've lost the word for it, but it's like love paths, right? These where somebody, there's a big block of grass, but people want to go from opposite corners. And so you see there's all these people that create kind of a rut in the grass. Many people think the same. Brains are very similar. People are all victim to the same kind of thoughts, right? And what they end up finding are these ruts that are very easy to just guide the little person down, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, well, if you see this and you see this and you see this, you maintain engagement. And here, why don't we file you into this rut? Because this rut is very effective. And once we get you over this activation energy, you're rolling. Your ball is rolling. And you will be on here, and we will just keep raking in that money. And they can find paths that push you into certain demographics that they need to sell to, right? All of these things it sounds very insidious because it sounds like they're making that express decision, but it's the byproduct of only prioritizing engagement. They gave an algorithm the problem of how do you do this, and the algorithm found a very good solution, which is bad.
Exactly.
So
and an algorithm doesn't look at whether something is good or bad. It just looks at what keeps you engaged. It doesn't care what the end results are other than engagement, and engagement equals money. So that's the risk of AI, and that's the risk of intelligent AI, right? Because it keeps learning and learning and learning, and then it makes that rut clearer to them. It's much more obvious, and so it figures out how to direct you down it.
And we know this in all different systems, is that at some point you'll find bad incentives, and you need to progressively weed out bad incentives, right? There's a misconception, for example, that capitalism just works, right? Well, capitalism has a bad incentive to move towards monopolies. And so trust busting is a necessary element of capitalism to keep the machine running. Now, what we did was we took this mission of finding bad incentives, and rather than leaving it up to the system of people finding it out, which takes time because people take time, we gave it to a computer that can simulate the problem 1,000,000 times a second. And we just waited for it to find the worst incentive possible. And then we said, well, let's let that operate on human brains for a few years. No one's regulating us. We just existed. And this is a problem that's going to come up many, many times because AI is not going away, and these new problems are not going away. And so these all we're doing is creating machines for finding bad incentives. Anyway, Elon Musk is behind Twitter, and that's just the good of that is great. I don't know. The news is we're very pro Elon Musk buying Twitter.
Honestly, I became more pro Elon Musk the more I started researching him, because it seems like everything negative they say about him, it seems like he's able to course correct. Do you know what I mean? He says, okay, you're right. We had a problem here with, okay, let's go to well, okay, so he's got some, and he has interesting points about things too. Like he might not say things the nicest way, but so if he says it, you got to go, well, let me dig a little deeper. Maybe he's right. So Tesla got removed from that, what, the ESG index on the S&P
Yep.
500. So what the ESG does is it kind of measures your company based on certain criterias. E being the environmental aspects. So, how does it affect climate change, greenhouse gases, deforestation, pollution, water waste, that kind of stuff. Then the S is for social issues. So your customer relations, your employee relations, human rights, safety, community, that kind of stuff. And then the other part would be your governance. So how you manage your company, it's succession, diversity, equity, corruption, security, all of those types of things. And so Tesla just recently got removed off of it, while these other companies that one would think would be worse, like ExxonMobil, are somehow burbling to the top. And Elon Musk is like, this index means nothing if this company is at the top. And he's kind of right, because the things that you have to do, let's say you're Ford and you make electric cars, but you also make gas guzzling cars. What you have to do is show that you have a plan to reduce greenhouse emissions. Not that you have the lowest greenhouse emissions of any company, just that you have plans. So you can have really shitty situation going on, but because you've laid out clearly and made everything very visible what you're doing, suddenly you are looked at a higher level than a company like Tesla, who doesn't always show their work. They don't always show their work. And I will say, they have had some fines take place. They have had some missteps where they had, what was it? Nitrogen. I wrote very small. They had some equipment leaks, some hazardous waste leaks. And then they had a nitrogen oxide leak for like 3 years. So they had some malfunctioning burners at their factory. So they did have some problems, but they did pay the fines. They did correct things. They did buy equipment for a local, I think, fire department or something like that, which I find weird and interesting. But
companies do that shit all the time. That's a non.
I know, but
that's saving
weird.
face.
It is. It's saving face. But he'll do it. Like he doesn't throw a fit about having to correct the problems, because I think he's the kind of person that, because he's an innovator, it's like he's just running at full speed. And if he knocks people over in the process, he knocks people over in the process. Yeah, he's going to have to, pay for their injuries or pick them up later on. But you know what? He's way over there now, and you guys are way back here. And I get it. I really do. There were some other issues because we talked about the social thing. So we talked, so there were some issues with some code of conduct in their business with racism, poor working conditions. So I guess what they said was that Tesla routinely kept Black workers in low-level roles and gave them strenuous and dangerous assignments. And then they were retaliated against when there were slurs used against them, and they brought it up. I don't like that. That is unfortunately a problem with a lot of big companies. That kind of stuff happens. Ones you wouldn't expect,
I really want to understand what it looks like, because you do hear these stories, and it's like, what does that decision making look like? Is it that there's this like internalized thing, or is it that the decision makers are incredibly old and are like actively racist? I don't understand what leads to these things occurring.
I feel like it's bros, man. Like you get middle management bros and upper management bros that just, they get in their own little cliques and they just don't see people as people sometimes, which is a problem. It's a problem. And it needs to be addressed, or they just think it's easier. I don't want to look at myself and see that I did a negative thing. So I'm just going to make you look uncredible. And, let's just bully you and retaliate against you until you leave this company. And then it was like, I didn't do anything. See, you're gone. Obviously it wasn't me.
I mean, and Diamond Girl just put something up, and I do want to say that because this podcast has had two parts. In the very beginning, sounded like we were completely anti-Elon. We're sounding a little bit too pro-Elon right now, and there are going to be some more pro-Elon points that are going to be brought up. But I just do want to bring this up. Elon Musk is by no means a perfect character on either end. It would be crazy to say that. He's done a lot of things with positive impacts, but he's also has an incredibly wide sphere of influence and has used that poorly because it positively impacts him. For example, Tesla has this massive, or had, still does, has this massive number of purchase agreements for their cars and couldn't crank them out quickly enough. Then, I don't know if you heard, a pandemic occurred. And in this pandemic, there was a shelter in place order. There were various work from home orders. It significantly impacted their ability to create cars and fulfill these purchase orders, which had a negative impact on the bottom line of Tesla, which has a negative impact on Elon Musk. And this is all speculation. We can't say for sure this is why Elon felt this way. But whereas there had been other ways where maybe he was a little bit more pro public health, on this issue, he did claim that any stay-at-home order was fascist, which comes off as quite stupid if you think about the way that Elon Musk thinks about these issues. You go, I feel like you're not thinking, or you're only thinking about what positively impacts you. Comparing Justin Trudeau to Hitler, yeah. Also, I mean, the dude is he's a little unhinged, and
He is.
100%. You can find as many like positive things that he does as you can find truly stupid fucking things he does.
Yeah.
And what ends up being the issue is that it's just which one are you looking at that point, right? He's got these like that. He's got some huge pro-abortion. Like he takes a lot of the same tax that you might take in terms of pro-abortion, and then at the same time he takes these COVID-19 things. So it's like, I mean, I have been a very like, if you are anti-vax or if you're anti like COVID-19, the initial COVID-19, or you're anti-mask or whatever, you're a fucking idiot, and I don't want to talk to you. Elon Musk falls squarely in that category, and yet I still have to kind of what's it called, to kind of swallow it a little bit, because he also does some stuff where I'm like, oh, I agree so much. So yes, that he is a narcissist. He is also very much about what positively impacts him. It's just that sometimes he's right still,
Yeah.
which is crazy.
Yeah. Sometimes he's right still. He is. It is annoying because he says so many awful things, and you're like, ugh. But I don't know, like, you sort of have to pick your battles with this one. Like, is he one of those people that's doing enough good in the world that, we don't cancel him because he hasn't done anything bad enough? Like, saying unpopular and unkind things is not enough. Oh, well.
Speaking of,
okay.
Speaking of, so just briefly, because we touched on the ESG index.
That's funny. Sorry, that's funny.
That's hilarious. That's classic. That's so Elon. Look, man, Elon has so much in common with Trump. It's just that he's way smarter than Trump. Which is dangerous, by the way. But what are you gonna do? Briefly talking about the ESG index, the ESG definitely felt like it was a lot more about Elon than it was about Tesla. They used the racism allegations, which were the Department of Justice found to be credible. So I'm not saying allegations as a way of discrediting them. They used those. They also used the number of deaths that Tesla's had caused under autopilot, which is just to take the strongest stance I'll take this whole episode, the dumbest shit I've ever heard. Okay? Dude, imagine making a product that decreases deaths by 90%, and then an electric car, by the way, and then a sustainability and environment index says you're not good enough because you still have people die in your car. Okay? 10% of the deaths that would occur on the highway by a driver in these cars that are under autopilot do occur, right? And if you took driver's ed, right, you'll remember that they'll say 9 out of 10 accidents could be avoided if if one of the two drivers was paying attention, right? And because both were not, the crash occurred, right? Well, guess what? Guess what 10% of the crashes sounds like? It sounds like 1 in 10 the autopilot couldn't avoid. Now, some of the anecdotes do not support that line, right? But here's what is supported, is that roughly 1 in 479,000 miles driven in a car results in a crash, okay? Which is, it's a lot of miles. But under autopilot, in a Tesla, it's around 1 in 4 million, okay? Which is a bigger number. So
Significantly.
lives are being saved by autopilot. And the ESG index says that they're removing Tesla because of concerns about allegations that people died while their car was in autopilot. Bro, why are you expecting perfection immediately? What are you talking about? You made a great. Imagine if the ESG index removed a car with seatbelts because people still died when they got in crashes when they were wearing their seatbelts. That would be so stupid, and it would make you think that there's an ulterior motive, which I do. But
I get it, but we can also come down on Elon Musk right now, because isn't that exactly what they said about the COVID vaccine also? If that it would make, it's not going to save everybody. It's not 100% effective, but it is, I mean, above 90%. So,
well, and I'm being consistent here, right?
you are.
Why are these freaking liberals saying that we should talk? Dude, I have friends that work at Ford, okay? Conflict of interest, who say that Tesla's autopilot isn't that great. People still die, but can understand the argument when they're talking about the vaccine. Yo, use the same reasoning, you fucking dork, okay? It drives me crazy. But of course, they work for Ford, so they're just mad that Tesla got ahead of them. Anyway, that whole point of argument is ridiculous. Here's the other thing. Recently, the guy said, look, hey, what are you going to do? He did say that he's going to change from the Democratic Party to the Republican because the Democratic Party is no longer the party of kindness, which is pretty dumb, okay?
Well, he's not kind.
He's not kind. Good start. Not kind. Also, is it less the party of kindness than it was maybe before? Maybe. But to then vote Republican because it's not they're worse. So
They're also not the party of kindness. Correct.
yeah. Hey,
But
if you want to vote for kindness, why don't you fucking move to Iceland? Okay? Why don't you go move to Iceland, and then when you're in Iceland, try to form a new government somewhere else. Change the electoral system if you want to vote for kindness, because there's no option right now.
we don't have a kindness option. No, we don't.
No kindness option right now.
But see, here's how I feel. I feel like I am fine with Elon Musk going the route of being Republican, because he is not all the way Republican. He very much cares about the planet. He very much cares about things that are just beyond himself. Yes, he's narcissistic in certain ways, but in other ways, he is a big picture thinker. He's like, well, he can see past himself and see bigger picture stuff, and put his money where his mouth is. So to me, correcting the problem with Twitter, with the algorithm, that seems that's like something that's going to help more than just him.
Yep.
Making electric cars accessible to more people and interesting to more people and attractive to people that otherwise would have no interest in an electric car. Your dad would have no interest in an electric car, but then we got Teslas that can go freaking fast, right? And he's like, ooh, well, now that does sound exciting to him. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So those are important things that are going to change bigger stuff. I just think you can't throw him out completely just because he's a dick. A dick that gets good shit done is going to get a pass, assuming that he's not hurting children.
Speaking of his dick, when here's a little bit more speculation about that Republican thing, is that, and this is speculation, don't sue me, Elon, okay? But he came out with the Republican thing, then he waited about 8 hours and said, now that I've said I'm going to vote Republican, you're going to see the Democratic controversy machine dig stuff up about me and try to discredit me because I'm a Republican now. And then an article came out a day and a half later that said that he had paid Tesla had SpaceX SpaceX had paid a $250,000 settlement to a stewardess on a private jet that he showed his penis to. Bad move, Elon. Also,
Bad move.
just, from speculation, the dude does seem horny. So just going from that, it doesn't seem completely insane. Now, I will say that the article itself did not meet the level of journalistic integrity you would expect for a story of this size, which is why you might not have seen it in some larger journals, is that it didn't reach that threshold. So that's the first thing that I'll say. But he's now insinuating that this article is because he switched from Democrat to Republican. Let me just bring my journalistic knowledge here. He knew that article was coming out weeks before it came out because they reach out for comment and they reach out to people around you for comment. And when they do, a certain amount of the information comes out about the article, and the people around you that they reach out to will call you and go, hey, this article is talking about you showing your penis to somebody. And then he goes, this is speculation. Do you want to act out just a little bit of Elon Musk hearing about that? You call me and tell me that an article is going to come out about my penis.
Okay. Beep, beep, boop, boop, beep, beep, boop, boop.
I'm already on the phone. Oh, I'm getting another call. Let me just pick this up. Sorry, 1 second. Hello.
Hey, Colin.
I'm Elon, but hello.
Oh, I mean, Elon. I don't know if you've heard, but these people have been contacting me about, I think it was an airplane that you were on and that you might have shown something to a stewardess. Do you know anything about this?
Oh, gee willikers. Oh, good golly gee. Good gosh. Give me 1 moment. I actually know what to do. Boop. I'm going to say that I'm switching from Democrat to Republican so I can insinuate that this is just retribution. No one will see through this.
Brilliant.
And that is what I speculate may have occurred.
So you don't think he really switched sides, or you don't think he was ever really a Democrat? Which one?
I think he was probably barely a Democrat. I think that he probably does have these opinions about the Democratic media machine, and that's why it's part of why he's buying Twitter for sure. I also think that he thought he's already getting love from Republicans for all these different things. He knows that if there's one party that's going to love somebody that sexually harassed someone, it's the Republican Party. And he just did some quick maths in his head, and he went, bloody hell, I'm going red, So
that tracks. I personally think that we should all go red. I think everybody who is currently a Democrat should change their party affiliation to red, because Democrats have open caucusing, so anybody is allowed to caucus with them. Anybody is allowed to vote on them in the primaries. But in order to vote in Republican primaries, you need to be Republican. So I think we should all have a say on which Republican wins the primaries. So I really think we should all do that. I also think we should all start running for office. You can go to Snapchat and you can put in, run for office, and it'll tell you in your area, you put in your zip code, it'll tell you, what elections are open to you joining. And I think everybody should say they're a Republican and sign up for every office, whether you're qualified or not, particularly if there's nobody else running. Just go for it. Say you're Republican. Don't say any Republican things unless you really want to, but just put that R next to your name, and then do all the good shit you really want to do. But just make it a lie, because that's all it takes.
I've been saying that Andrew Yang should run as a Republican and just start saying different stuff, because a lot of his ideas I just think would appeal to Republicans. It's just that, us leftists aren't ready for him. I'm ready for him, but I could also talk about Andrew Yang for a long time. Anyway, this came out about him, so not good.
Not good.
Not good. So don't recommend.
Some other stuff that came out about him, was this idea that he pledged $6 billion to help, to solve the problem of global hunger. Because there was an official at the UN who was kind of challenging the super wealthy to end global hunger, because they have enough money between them that potentially they could do so. And this was happened over Twitter. And Musk said, if you show me how the $6 billion can be spent, I will entertain this, basically. Tell me what you're going to do with the money. And
he said he would sell Tesla stock and do it right now.
Yep.
Were the words he used, which is hilarious.
Yeah.
And also classic Elon.
Yes. And so, but then what happened was the guy at the UN said, well, 6 billion won't solve world hunger, but it would save 42 million people on the brink of starvation. So I think that's important to me. You're not solving it. You're just, we can put a pin in it for this moment by spending a bunch of money on food and the delivery costs, vouchers.
Yeah. And the claim was that Elon was calling out the insinuation that his money could solve world hunger, right? That was the whole point, was to call out that they were being attacked for not giving this money. Mm-hmm. And he was like, make the plan. Tell me the plan. And if it solves world hunger, I'll sell it right now. That's calling a bluff. And then if your opponent goes, well, actually, Will, we could do this, you called their bluff 100%, mm-hmm. right?
Yeah.
So that was the point of what Elon did. And it could have been left just there. It could have been game, set, match Elon to me. But I think that you have a next thing that you're going to say.
Well, I mean, it does appear that Elon Musk maybe did do something and just didn't brag about it. I don't know. Would he brag about it? I don't know if he brags about his charitable donations.
It feels like he would.
It feels like he would. But what he did was he did donate Tesla stock that was worth pretty close to $6 billion. But he gave it to an unspecified charity. So we don't know if he did give to some of these programs that would help to fight hunger right now. We don't know. But I will say it is a problem if you don't have a plan in place and you're asking for that kind of money from the wealthy of the world. They're not going to want to keep handing $6 billion to you every single year. You need a plan. You need to have something in place that is going to solve the problem. And I feel like Elon Musk would find a way. And it might not be kind or gentle, but if he put his mind to it, if he found a company that he thought could turn deserts into, oases, I don't know, that he would do it,
Yep.
I just think that we give him a lot of shit, and that we absolutely should, because accountability matters, but, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater, hold him accountable. But also, I'll give him the freedom to actually make big changes that he's probably capable of facilitating, right? He may not be the person doing the thing, but I think he sees the big ideas. He sees the possibilities and the directions things can go in, and is willing to put money and effort and, force behind those ideas. And I am not mad at it. I'm not.
Yep. He is so not perfect. No. But I mean, one, even the people that you love the most with that much money and that much power, a lot of them are going to end up pieces of shit. Just so you know, that a lot of us are just, I see it in myself, man. I see it in myself, because there's just certain ideas that just appeal to me. And I'm like, because I have a lot of hatred for people in my heart. And so, one, if you think I could have Elon Musk money and not pay for assassinations, you're out of your mind. Okay? People are dying because some people need to die. And so there's that. Not political assassinations, by the way. I'm a benevolent God, but just certain people. And so that's me. And I think I'm, pretty morally good. So people are dicks. He's a dick, but he's like a meme dick who also may have shown his dick to somebody on a plane, which was a bad move.
Probably.
I'm excited that this allegation actually came out in 2018, but it came out kind of in the rumblings underground sort of way. Can't quite get an article about it. And then what happened recently was a friend of the person that this occurred to went to a publication to talk about it, and it got published. which is my friend this happened to, is generally not newsworthy, but it did get published. But the allegation did come out earlier than this. What I'm excited about is that there's one allegation. So that's good.
Yes, maybe he
That's
keeps his hands to himself.
We're measuring
Just
success very not great.
Right.
But there's one
the bar is
allegation.
low.
He could potentially save a certain amount. If you made public discourse around politics 10% better, you have accomplished what no man could hope to accomplish in a lifetime. Okay? So he can be a dick. I don't know. He can be a dick. I think that the COVID stuff pisses me off a lot because his impact is when smart people say dumb shit that can have a tremendously huge impact and kill a bunch of people, it really does piss me off. And I do think that Elon Musk is smart. So it's so hard for me to justify. And I don't want to. I'm not going to. Fuck him for saying all that. But the Twitter thing's good. Some of the things he's doing are good. Starlink thing, sick as fuck. I don't know what to tell you. If you complain about the Starlink thing, if you complain about Teslas and autopilot, and if you complain about Twitter, those actions are good, and the guy is a dick. It's a big old giant dick.
Is there risk in a lot of those things? Absolutely. There's risk. So keep your eye on it. Do not turn him into a deity, right? I think that was the problem with Trump is too many people turned him into their savior. And it was weird because he didn't save a single thing. So why did they believe that stuff? And definitely don't do any of that stuff with Elon Musk. Don't do that. That's not who he is. But he is an innovator, and he's going to make mistakes along the way. He's going to do things wrong. He's going to definitely say the wrong thing and not apologize. And as you say, you're not a fan of apologizing anyway. So never apologize.
No, not a good move. Yeah. Well, I mean, you just gotta. I guess now he is a Republican, so it's not even really taking one out of the Republican playbook. But if you are a Democratic stalwart, stop apologizing because you're not playing by the same rules. Yeah. No. Also, so here's the real question, Mom, and this is a little bit of a putting you on the spot moment here, and then we can kind of end things. Okay. If he ran for president,
I would need to hear very clearly what he plans to do, because to me, having somebody who is that level of egomaniac in office there's a real risk and a real danger to it. So I would really need to hear what his thoughts are. I need to clearly hear them. I'm not going to say 100% no, I wouldn't vote for him, but I'm going to say, it's going to be hard because there's so much risk involved.
I think,
but also he's from South Africa. He can't run.
He can't run. He totally can't run. Yeah. Yep. He can't run, but I think I could have been tricked into voting for him if not for the fact that Trump had been elected. And now I'm like, okay, that the institutions are unstable enough that while it might appeal to me to have some guy that's like, I'm gonna break all the norms and do this stuff, the risk is massive. Okay. Giving someone the power to send people to war is huge. I am the child of people that were in the military, and handing the reins over to an egomaniac feels like handing over my parents' life to an egomaniac. And while my parents are no longer at risk of that, some other kids' parents are, right? And when you're a military kid, this is, by the way, arguing from such a selfish place. But when you're a military kid, you have no friends your whole life. Like, you have friends for 3 years over and over again your whole life. Yes. The only people that are constant in your life are your parents. And so that risking military parents' lives is real near and dear to my heart. And I will not give my reins to somebody who acts this way. And I don't know if Elon Musk would dedicate to following political norms because that's so antithetical to who he is. I don't know if he would dedicate to a peaceful transfer of power. That's like my number one thing. Dedicate it to a peaceful
Yeah.
transfer of power. That's what the whole thing is based upon. Now, I think that if he had run on something like, I'm going to change how the voting system works, I don't need money, I'm not going to take on corporate money, I'm going to try and push through like term limits for congressmen, I'm going to try and push through giving limits and all this stuff, I would be like, well, we do need those things. And so it would be a real struggle.
I agree. No, I understand what you're saying 100%. I appreciate that you love your parents so much. I think that does maybe explain why we have the relationship that we have too. You know, we were the constant. We were the thing that you relied on. So yeah, it does. It changes your relationship with your parents.
Well,
I
I was
think,
clingy anyway.
huh?
I
You
was
were
also
clingy
just a naturally clingy child. So
when you were supposed to be. You were.
I was a little over the top. We can tell the audience. It's fine. Uh, I
Aww.
was very afraid of being away from my parents. Very deeply afraid.
But you know
Uh,
what? That also could be military related because you were born and then your dad had to go back to Italy 2 weeks later. So and then we went to Italy a few months later. So you would have months even as a baby where you weren't with your dad. So
yep. Nope. Nope. It's a struggle. But yeah, I was
yep.
deeply afraid of being away from parents. Uh, I mean, I led a relatively trauma-free life, but seriously, like the first trauma was going to Boy Scout camp, and not for the reason that most people get traumatized at Boy Scout camp, because I couldn't handle being away from my parents, and I was, and now looking back on it, some of the like behaviors that I exhibited, I was like, this is how people act when they're mid trauma. Like, this is which is just, it's not how a person should be. And you kind of got to rip the band-aid off of kids. But man, thank God I
Oh,
survived college,
for real. Thank God you survived
because
college. You live across the country. Really, your brother does too. He lives on the other side of the country.
dude, let's talk about this in front of our audience. That when Owen was like applying for colleges, one of the main things that my mom, my co-host on this podcast, said was that she wouldn't let Owen like go out of this certain sphere because he needed this home base. And then they sent Owen to college and moved away immediately. Like completely left. I
But he was
was like,
fine. It was because he was
oh, he
so
was so
fine.
fine. He was so I got okay. You know what? I'm not programming in the new information that you guys had, which was that he just
Okay.
adapted.
Well, first of all, I didn't even want him to leave the state. I was like, no, stay here with me, right? And so, but he was like, no, you told Colin that he shouldn't stay in the state, and so I'm not going to either. So he wanted to go to Alaska. So he went to Alaska. We checked it out.
That's
He
true.
was like, this school is maybe not it. But yeah. So then he goes to Oregon, and it's he had no problem adapting. And I don't think we were ready. I wasn't ready for how quickly your brother adapted. He was just like, yeah, fine. Why are you guys bothering me? So
It's so weird. Well,
it's
and
so
what's
weird.
also weird is that it was what I was worried about. But for all the jokes about surviving freshman year, the problem was not really the leaving my parents. It was now I struggled longer than Owen did with the
Yeah.
leaving my parents thing, but a month, I definitely every time I came back, I had a very hard time leaving again. That didn't change until like senior year, but um, but I adapted when I got back pretty quickly. So that was not the problem, weirdly enough. But yeah. Anyway, we jumped off from a different topic. When you elect a president, consider that they can send people's parents to die. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
and we don't talk enough about. It's very self-serving for me to say this, but we don't talk enough about military kids. Okay, look, a lot of like men have to leave their men and women. I don't know why I said men. Men and women have to leave their children to go on deployments, and we feel great sympathy for their sacrifice. A bunch of kids didn't sign up for the fucking military. and have their parents leave. Now that I'm this age, I realize how much I should have sympathized with Dad and how much that he that must have been so difficult.
Yeah,
And
he had no. Yeah,
I can't imagine the things that I said about the pain that I was feeling, how they would impact me as a dad. What a nightmare. The good news is you don't need to take on that pain as a child. You don't. It's not your job as
no,
a child to take care
exactly,
of your parents.
correct.
What a win that I have parents that made that very clear to me, because I definitely said things that probably broke your guys' little hearts. But nah, never broke your guys' hearts. Anyway, but
No, because it's like no,
this
I
Memorial
doesn't
Day,
matter what you say. I love you. I love you. You're allowed to have your feelings. I don't know how many times that you get to have your feelings. You get to feel how you feel. You get to be mad or sad. Like the idea that we should just squash all that shit down. It's just not helpful. You need to feel them when you need to feel them, because you can't get past them if you don't. So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's definitely times I was worried for you, because I couldn't take those feelings for you. You had to carry them. No mom, nobody likes watching their child hurt, but they were yours, and so all I could be was, I like to say, we're always the soft place to land, and I still feel that way, even though we're in an RV right now. You can sleep on the couch. We'll always be the soft place to land. So
totally.
yeah.
Although the RV sucks, I can't wait for you guys to have a house.
Me too.
It's driving me nuts right now.
It's taking forever. It's not framed even yet. It's just they poured the cement. That's it. We've been stuck like in this for 3 weeks, and it's driving me crazy. We're probably gonna swap out this RV for one with a bunkhouse so that your brother can stay here, because it's like he can't sleep on the couch either, for the whole entire summer. we thought the house would be built by now.
Yep.
All right.
Yep.
That
Not
didn't
happy
have
with it.
anything to do with this podcast.
When I start a business, I'm not giving a 10% discount to no fucking veterans. Okay. I'm giving it to children of veterans. Okay. I don't give a fuck about your sacrifice. You chose it. God. But Ellie and I, when we're at like baseball games, and they do the like stand up for Mr. Who do this thing. Ellie and I, both children of service members, are like, give me a friggin' break with how much they get patted on the fucking back every day, and come pat us on the back.
Okay, that's what you go tell the Mets. You say, you know what, you need to have a special thing for the children of veterans, because we're the ones that suffered.
Hey man, you should. Okay, is it self-serving? Yes, but I'll just come out and say you should. Okay, there's a 12-year-old right now whose dad is being sent, on a fucking boat for 7 months, and he's like going through being a 12-year-old. He's
Being
getting
12's
bullied
hard.
in fucking 7th grade in this new school that got its own weird fucking dynamics, and people are doing crack, and like, bro, people are doing crack, and it's like, what is this?
We're 12.
And
Why are we doing crack? What's going
I know,
on?
stop getting pregnant and doing crack, right? And he's getting bullied, and he's 12, and his parents are not there, right? And then people are being like, oh, but salute to the person that's not there. Yo, salute fucking me. I'm a child. Give me a break, man.
I salute you.
I don't need your fucking salute.
Fine. I'm going to admit that I absolutely hate. I hate the Pledge of Allegiance, and I also hate standing for the national anthem at sporting events, because I don't know what they have to do with the national anthem. This is not a game between two different nations. If it was the U.S. team versus the Canadian team, then I would stand for it. But if it's, the Mets versus the Yankees, you're both from New York. Why are we standing right now? It's weird, but that's just my opinion.
I don't know. Some people are proud of America. I'm kind of proud of America.
You can be proud of it, but why are we saying it? What does it have to do with sports? It's weird.
I think it's just the demographics of who watches these things, who the things are for, They're for America, fuck yeah, people.
I hate it. I just don't like it. I don't know. That's just, we all have our things. That's one that
I think it's your prerogative
like.
to not like it.
I know.
It does not bug me a lot, but I also do kind of protest it. So I don't know why I feel it. I do, like, I don't put my hand over my heart and I don't say under God, but you know, my favorite part of the podcast is the long 20 minutes after where we stop talking about the topic, but we just talk like we're on a call.
That's what we're doing. We're just, you know, it's okay.
Killing it.
We're just connecting.
Hey guys.
We're connecting because this is what we do, because I'm your mom. You're my son.
Fuck yeah.
We need to connect.
We need to connect.
You know what it is? Two fingers. 2 fingers above the eyebrow. 2 fingers above the eyebrow. There you go. Two, like the distance. That's the spacing. 2 fingers above. Boom. That's not the right way. You know, it's also not like this. Actually, I do like doing it like this, just to be. Okay.
Okay. Hey, to our viewers, we love you, and I give you each just a little kiss.
You have to pay $250,000 now for sexual harassment.
That's more than I have. By a little bit. Oh boy.
Well, if everybody could just.
I cut off my mom.
Sure did. If you could like this video, it would be great.
Like the video and tell your grandma.
Oh, tell your grandma. Tell your
She's
liberal
still
friends.
alive.
You know? Ooh, or tell your non-liberal friends who you really like to just make mad. And send them over here too. And so that they can say mean stuff. Because I like that. Okay.
Okay.